So with the draft coming on Tuesday, Oliver Luck appeared on This Is the XFL show, and he said something very interesting to me, guys. I want to bring the quote up here, and it is in regards to allocation of quarterbacks. His quote is, "A quarterback will be assigned to each team that will be done before the draft." That we already knew. That was in the press release. "I will emphasize to you that is based on the priority list that the coaches gave us, the quarterbacks they wanted as they ranked them," which also we kind of knew or we figured would be the case. Here's where it starts to get interesting to me. "We will have a quarterback assigned to each team, but this is not the end of it." Okay. Continue. "This is just a moment in time. We will continue to talk to agents and quarterbacks as guys fall off the NFL tree." Okay. So it sounds like, yes, there will be quarterbacks allocated before the draft, but that by no means that it's these quarterbacks that are going to be allocated before the draft are the guys that you're going to actually see as starting quarterbacks when it comes to February 2020.
I mean, yeah, I think it's humbling, honestly, for a new startup league to say, hey, our best athletes aren't here right now, right? So I think they understand the process, and they understand that quarterbacks will be cut from practice squads, and then once the NFL league year is over, more quarterbacks will become available. And quarterbacks make a league or they break a league. So I do believe that they understand that in this moment in time, there's probably a few quarterbacks that they consider a high tier athlete, and they will let them make that team up. I do believe like in January and February that the best athletes are not available at this point.
Well, and one thing too, pro football is an ever-changing landscape. Look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, for example. Devlin Hodges was a name that was thrown out there as a tier 1 quarterback.
That was a guy, Kenny, that we were talking about, before we even launched the show in our in our show run-throughs. That was a guy that we were targeting as a potential XFL guy, and now he's starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right, and we'll look at the road how he got there. And if you're the XFL, how can you can't predict this stuff? To start the season, Big Ben and Dobbs were the quarterbacks in Pittsburgh. Big Ben gets hurt. Josh Dobbs gets traded. Mason Rudolph
gets hurt.
And now Devlin Hodges is the starting quarterback for the Steelers. By the way, he's tearing it up tonight.
It's unlike anything we've seen in the NFL, though. I can't recall a year where so many quarterbacks got hurt. It's almost like the perfect storm.
It's really terrible timing, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it actually couldn't be worse timing for Oliver Luck in the XFL when it comes to getting a really good crop of 8 quarterbacks that can be split amongst 8 teams. So that's why I think this was really important to come out and say, to kind of assure, guys like us and people who might be interested in the XFL and that are interested in the XFL, like, hey, the guys that we're going to allocate to teams during the draft and shortly after the draft, this isn't it, right? We're still going to be evaluating the quarterback position because Oliver Luck knows better than anybody, and he referenced it a couple times in the show and during his quote, like, hey, we know the success of this league is about the quarterback position and the quality of play at that position.
He mentions it in essentially every interview that he does.
Every quote, every interview.
When he talks about the makeup of the league, just how vital it is to have solid quarterback play. So I mean, when you're a startup football league, you really don't have any other options, do you? I mean, you have to wait as long as you can. If someone that's currently on an NFL roster, I don't know, for example, Chad Kelly, Kenny's boy. Say Chad Kelly gets. I mean, he was cut.
Chad Kelly.
Yeah. Say Chad Kelly gets cut from the Colts practice squad in December. I mean, you're the XFL. You have to go after him, right? You can't just be like, sorry, we already allocated this quarterback, so we don't have room for you. It's just you have to go after him.
Practice squads are littered with guys. Eric Dungy just signed with the Browns. I think he was probably a tier 1 guy or close to being one. John Wolford's with the Rams. So, there's definitely tier 1 talent.
And there's so much movement between the practice squads, from the practice squad to the 53-man to the practice squad to being cut to being assigned to another practice squad.
As the XFL, why would you handcuff yourself to these athletes to be a tier 1 quarterback other than just marketing them? I understand you want to market a quarterback that's there on your team. So from November, December to January, but if the better quarterback arrives in January, take the better quarterback.
I think it comes down to there's a fine line between waiting too long because you don't have anybody to market as the face of your franchise, and then also from a continuity standpoint of practicing with the team during minicamp and training camp and getting.
And where's that line?
That's the question. I don't know. The XFL has to find that out, but there is a line. You can't just have a guy come in the first week of February and expect them to be competitive.
The end of the calendar. Well, I mean, it's
not right away.
Free agents are signed all the time in other leagues, so I don't know if that necessarily, if there's like has to be a cutoff. Like, I get what you're saying. Yeah. I totally agree with you, especially about the marketing aspect of it. It's so hard when like the face of your franchise, essentially the quarterback, you don't know who it is. Like going into and for a new football league, nonetheless, trying to market, trying to engage and interact with the community, and you don't have like a face of the team that you can like push out there. It makes it tough to market your product.
It is the nature of the beast, though. I mean, it's a startup league, right? I mean, guys are going to be taking those practice squad jobs in the NFL with the potential of getting to the 53-man and back because, one, the pay is possibly better, and two, it's a chance for them to stick in the NFL. I think as the XFL gains more credibility in year 2 and year 3 and year 4, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near this difficult. I just think it's the nature of the beast, unfortunately, with year 1. But when it comes to marketing, and I totally get marketing, and you want to make sure you get the face of the franchise, and the face of the franchise is a little bit tough because all we have are logos and cities. Right?
Yeah.
Right. We don't necessarily have anybody drafted at this point. We don't even know what the XFL is going to look like with the on-field play yet. So
the rule
I
book
totally
isn't
get
even
the
official
marketing.
yet.
Our real book hasn't even gone out. So that's where I totally get, hey, we want the most marketable guys right now. I'm with Pastel. I'm willing to wait December and January to get guys that can really play.
I mean,
and
honestly,
get them in the XFL to make the product better.
If a guy shows up on your doorstep in February, in March, you have to take them if they're that high. I mean, if a Tim Tebow shows up on your doorstep and is like, why are you smiling, Kenny? Like, that's not, plausible.
No, I was laughing because you said Tim. I just laughed because you said Tim Tebow. I was like, here, we're going to open up a can of worms here.
Oh God, yeah. Sorry, but a quarterback of that caliber. I mean, you're not going to just not open the door if he's knocking on it. You have to let him in, right?
Like I said, I don't think it's a black and white situation. It's definitely a lot of gray into it because how many are there that many good quarterbacks to where if this quarterback X shows up in February that they're so much better than the quarterback that's gone through your mini camp, that's gone through your training camp, that's the captain of your team, and so forth. Like they've got to be that much better. And I question it. Are there that many?
Yeah. I do think that the XFL is kind of veering off their original plan, which is to be expected, partly because of what we discussed, the injuries. And maybe they're just finding it harder being a startup football league to really recruit these guys and, get them to buy into what they're selling. So maybe they were anticipating on having these quarterbacks in place already, and they're just finding out, wow, this is going to be harder than we thought, so we need to wait because – especially with the injury bug going around with NFL quarterbacks.
That's what I was gonna say that too, Riley. We said it earlier. It is such an odd year when it comes to quarterback injuries in the NFL, to where these guys are now getting practice squad and backup position, backup spots that we're like, hey, you know what? 2 months ago we were penciling them to be a tier 1 quarterback and being kind of one of the faces for the XFL. It's the perfect storm of something that I don't think anybody anticipated it would be this bad.
And it's set up where the NFL quarterbacks, like if you're Cardale Jones right now, we'll see tomorrow. This is being recorded on Sunday, by the way. If Monday comes around and Cardale Jones is on that list, honestly, I would be kind of surprised because he is seeing around him right now. Okay, I got cut. I'm a free agent right now, but I'm seeing these guys being picked up and being elevated to 50. It's 1 or 2 hits away from going from being a free agent to being on that 53-man. So why would I box myself in to an XFL agreement, to an XFL contract, when I can just wait it out and then go to the XFL when I'm ready?
Yeah, unless the XFL comes knocking at his door with that $750,000 guaranteed check. Yeah, why?
But and vice versa for the XFL. Why are you going to box yourself in to one draft and saying, hey, these are my tier 1 quarterbacks, this is my 71-man roster. It's like, no. Let's be fluid with the situation. Let's be adaptable.
Right.
That's where other leagues have failed in the past, is like they're not adaptable. They want to believe that they're the best league, the only league outside the NFL to have these athletes. Like, XFL is saying, no, there might be another draft in November. There might be more free agents in January. And, hey, we're going to keep recruiting the best athletes that are out there and not just saying, hey, this draft coming here October 15th and 16th is all end all be all. Like, let's keep being adaptable.
Oliver Luck has said.
That's a good point, Pastel. It's a great point.
Oliver Luck has said these players that you're going to see drafted on Tuesday and Wednesday aren't necessarily guys you're going to see when it comes February 2020. They're going to be drafted, but whether they make it to mini camp, make it through training camp, there's going to be cuts. They're bringing in 71-man rosters and they're cutting down to 52 players, I believe. 52, 53. So it's yet to be seen. So we're going to have to wait and find out how kind of the pieces fall, the dominoes, when it comes to players and the makeup of rosters. What's up, football fans? This is Riley from XFL Chalk Talk. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all things XFL and interact with us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at XFL Chalk Talk.